Hey guys, Miles and Eric here, repping Bad Publicity. This is Eric. You might not have met him before. He's part of the Melbourne Sneakdoor crew, and he's going to be helping me out. We're going to be talking about the Meta Snapshot today, going through it, seeing what's up, what you can expect to see at your store championships, or regional, even a regional near you soon. So, Business First has come out not very long ago. Not that long ago, right? It's pretty recent.
It hasn't even come out where we are.
In Australia, it's only just come out. But Democracy and Dogma is just about to drop very, very soon. That's going to be a big deal, so we decided we better smash out something today, talk about it a bit, hopefully give you an idea of what's going on. So for Store Championships right now, we've decided to, just like last time, we're looking at decks you're definitely going to see 100% of the time because they're just the bomb. Decks that are super popular right now, they're hot, they're sexy, they're fresh.
They're crisp.
They're crisp. They've come straight out of the crisper drawer. And also some stuff that are just sexy little medicals. Maybe decks are a little bit weird, something that you're not used to.
Things you want to know how to play against.
Things that you want to know exist. You're going to need to know these decks exist because you never know what's going to happen. So let's get right into it, everybody.
Get stuck in.
First of all, what are we going to see? We're going to see Noise and Whiz, aren't we? That hasn't changed. I mean, you know that. You don't need us to tell you that.
Orange is still good.
You're going to see some HB food codes, but maybe not as much, in my experience.
Yeah.
We're seeing HB go down, and that's because HB is getting shredded to absolute pieces. Of course, that's going to happen even more once Democracy and Dogma comes out and the sky falls for the first time this cycle, but about the 15th time in Netrunner so far, so we'll probably survive. Where we're starting to get interesting now is the various Kates that are floating around, the various Shaper stuff. So we've got bunch of stealth decks coming around, so that's what Dagger, Cloak, Refractor, Professional Contacts. We're going to have a lot of Professional Contacts.
And just about any Kate build you see, it's probably going to be there unless they're going pawn shop, and even then sometimes.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of Shaper decks rely on what we're going to call the Proco Sweepstakes.
Yeah.
Where you do want to get Proco well, if you don't, you might have a bad time.
Yeah, because you're in Shaper, like finding that Proco, like are you really gonna put hostage in? Like it's just.
Speaking of the Proco Sweepstakes, you know what the sexiest Shaper deck that people love is right now?
What's that, Miles?
It starts with pitch and ends with fork.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a picture of the chick from Scott Pilgrim, so I'm a fan. This is of course the Haley deck that's taken over the world. What do you think of it, Eric?
I think it's really fun and cool. Like, I like seeing new recon sweeps come out, and this is that. It's just like a trial new sweep, and it's probably the best application of Haley I think we've seen yet.
Yep, it's a fantastic application of Haley. It's one of those, it's a very much a remote sniping kind of deck. It's like the old prepaid Kate, which, as if you're a regular viewer, you'll know I have a special place in my heart for prepaid Kate. And it's very good at getting into places you thought it wouldn't be able to go.
Yeah, so it's actually playing like a very similar breaker sweep. The main thing that's changed is the econ, and it's kind of interesting. A lot of people who are playing Kate at the moment are trying to like recapture like the old Kate decks, with sort of the pro code sweep, but like it's Haley who's actually managing to sort of keep it together.
Yeah, I mean something that really jumps out at me about this list is your 3 fan side here. And
double artist colony. Yeah.
Really interesting, enables a lot of just god tier Shaper bullshit. Like the most Shaper bullshit you'll ever see.
What's that? There's like one card in your deck that is perfect right now and you can get it?
At any time you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean if you sacrifice the breaking news to avoid dying to a 24/7 news cycle, that seems good to me. I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Short Gamble is a crutch. We learned that Ice is a crutch in our store championships today.
And sometimes Hedge Fund is a crutch.
Hedge Fund is a crutch. Everything is a crutch. Just be good.
Yeah.
Watch this video of Spags and Code Marvelous breaking down the deck for those who want very in-depth information about it. That's probably the main new thing in the... What you're going to see, I would say. That's the main new entry. So let's move on to the hotness, the sexiness, the freshness. What all the hip, cool people near you are playing between going to nightclubs and doing drugs in the basement. Here's a deck that I really like, Temple Any Age.
Yeah, I know you like that, Miles.
I like that, so I want to store champ with this today. Felt pretty good. And what this deck does, it's just like, this is, I've long held this is the most fun deck in Netrunner because what you do is you just go sideways forever. You make a stupid amount of money, and you just kind of just win games by doing NBN stuff. It's great fun.
Yeah.
I pack 3 Cyberdecks Virus Suite in mine, and I know a lot of people. I pack 3 Cyberdecks. and I know a lot of people do to help you fight that clot menace.
Yeah.
Ban clot. Put clot on the MWL.
Never.
Yeah, so you'll probably see a bit of this around because it's a very
Yeah.
efficient deck, very, very powerful. It's arguable whether the Turtlebacks is, in fact, the best thing.
Yeah, Mamba Temple, you get so much mileage out of that thing. Mamba Temple is very good news for any age.
Yeah, you got some very serious value out of Mamba Temple. It happens. It's very, very powerful.
And there are so many assets that are giving you so much value and furthering your game plan. Like, I think this particular list doesn't really have any fat on it. Like, the All-Seeing Eye, probably a flex slot.
Well,
in this
that was
particular
my flex
list.
slot, yeah.
Yeah. But because all of those assets kind of need to be, well, you want to deal with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that once you like just start throwing down assets, you like it just naturally sort of pushes you forwards. And unless you can do something about the assets, you're gonna have to like hammer centrals. And if you can't even do that, depending on how fast you get set up, the NEH is just gonna run away the way it usually does.
Absolutely. So my version of this, and I think a few others, plays 3 DBS, 3-team sponsorship. So it does have something of a critical mass of must-trash assets. Another interesting thing here is you'll notice that the ice curves a bit higher than you'd expect. 2 Assassin, 1 Engine, 2 Booth, 1 Archangel, which is a bit interesting. You don't see that very often in this kind of deck.
Yeah, the first time I played against your listing, I didn't expect the Assassin and got absolutely wrecked.
It's a good deck. You should be aware that this deck exists because you are going to see it. All right, next we have, the new thing.
Yeah.
The newness. You guys love this deck. We love it too. It's...
Payanya.
No, Palana.
Palana.
Palana is the official way to say it.
Palana.
Palana.
So,
Palana. So anyway, this is what happens when you take an RP list and you replace all the assets with econ operations, and then you put in Palana and you win because it's good.
Yeah.
There's not a ton to say.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think there is like a little bit to say. And that is that, like, there is some variation in this. It can be tempting to go, like, massive on the assets, like the Everlasting Job
Actually,
list.
we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that?
That deck does not belong on the meta snapshot.
Okay, cool.
We are going to talk about a slight variation, though, which is the big boy one.
Okay.
And this deck, you will note, conspicuously omits Palana Agriplex, which is a very divisive card. Because it's sort of good because you make a ton of money, but it's sort of bad because the runner gets a lot of cards, and cards are really good.
Yeah.
And also you sort of burn yourself through your deck. This list, the main issue with this setup, this one a bit less so, more so this, it's really good against Anarch, but it gets wrecked by Shapers.
Yeah, because they can
through.
void a lot of your ice or get through it fairly cheaply, so the tax isn't there.
Yeah.
And then you're just leaning on side games for the win.
You are leaning on side. Well, both of these decks, you're very much just winning side games to win. It's very solid against the whole field, but you're going to have problems against Shaper, but this Ice Sweet is a bit better.
Personally, I prefer the Agroplex in that case, because you can go a bit faster and hopefully rush out the win with the money that you're making. So, I don't know, like, play around with Palana, I think, and, like, you really need to know what kind of speed you want to be playing. Yeah,
Palana is good. You're going to see it.
Yeah,
it's just, it's a good Glacier deck. Any idea that says make 1 credit on it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to pay... Any idea with a credit symbol on it, you've got to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Also, this here agenda, corporate sales team, it's a good agenda. You're going to make a lot of money off this. You're going to see Palana. What else we got? This is an interesting one. Now, this has showed up a lot in Melbourne, and I think, based on Netrunner DB and other places, but we're going to represent it a little bit. Murderous Soul. Yeah. The Murderous Soul.
It's a little bit different to your regular Butcher Shop. A little bit.
It is, well, it's not in any HR scored.
Yeah.
It's got good cards in it. It's the same as Butcher Shop. You win, and then everything explodes.
Yeah.
Right? You score, you have the threat of Astra Script. Very hard to fast advance out of this list, but if you get an Astra Script off, you're a happy man.
If you can get Astra off, the fact that you've got Psycho to lean on, like I've seen some people make good use of it.
Yeah.
But the main thing you're leveraging here is just the fact that you've got targeted marketing. People looked at Soul, they said, okay, what's the current we want to play? Let's play targeted marketing. How do we make the most out of that? Well, tag traces.
Yeah.
And then, like, after that point, it's a question of what that Soul deck's doing. And most of the time, it's kill.
Yep. Now, the first time I played against this, my opponent, who is a very, very strong local player, got the targeted marketing off very early for Aesop's Pawn Shop.
Yeah.
When I installed Aesop's Pawn Shop, because I was like, well, it's $10, but it's going to happen once, he played Snatch and Grab on me. And then my Aesop's one shot immediately exploded. So, look, this deck's pretty good, and I imagine it's going to show up near you because it's a lot stronger than you'd think.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly easy to lose to because of the Psycho alternate win condition.
Yeah.
Next. Ugh.
Yeah. Museum Gagarin.
So this has cards in it. Do you want to...
Do you want me to take this one, Miles?
This is... No, I want to talk about it. I want to tell the people.
Okay.
I want the people
They
to know,
need to know
their thoughts on this, what I think about this. So, this is a deck that's got a lot of steam lately, and it's because people like Museum of History a lot.
It's really tempting to play new cards. It's good to play new cards, I think.
It's new, and it's infinite recursion,
Yeah.
which is powerful. I'm not going to deny infinite recursion is powerful. Here's the thing about this deck, Eric. Actually, number one, why do people put these goddamn cards together all the time? Temple and History have no synergy. They don't. They've got no synergy.
You need to get up to 54 cards, or like plus 50 cards to play Museum of History. And I think the thinking is that if you're going to have a ton of assets anyway, like that's probably how you're going to do it, and Mumbo Temple gives you the kind of econ that doesn't invalidate bloating your deck that much.
Yeah, but
I would differ.
But 54 cards and less than 15 eyes. That's a recipe
Yeah,
for
right?
fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Alright. Anyway, that's what I think. So this deck's win condition, he said, snarkily, is this card here, Tour Guide. And that's basically 100% of your win condition. Is to eventually make a server over the course of like 53 minutes, because your games will last forever because you don't have a win condition.
And you have no ice. And
you
so
have
many
no
cards.
ice. Is to put all your ice on one server and then somehow score in there, even though you don't have protective upgrades.
Now, like, let's just consider one thing. Tour Guide is like the pivot of whether you win or not. And what's like the most prevalent runner deck at the moment, Miles?
Oh, it's Whiz or Noise, depending on where you are.
You know what you see 3 of in those decks, Miles?
Oh, no, it's
Tip of the tongue.
Wildside.
Yeah.
Oh, Data Sucker.
Getting that one.
Parasite.
Oh, there we go. That's the one.
You know what Tour Guide does if Parasite like looks at it funny? It just shits the bed, runs screaming. Anyway, I don't like this deck very much, and so should you.
But it's a thing.
But it is a thing that exists, and you're going to see it. I don't think it's very good. And also, stealth decks are getting popular, and Switchblade laughs at Tour Guide.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, that's
hilarious.
that's what I think about this deck. So you can play it if you want, and you might do well with it. But I think it's a noob stomper.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. It's a noob stomper because noobs are going to go and get distracted by your assets, but people who have a better understanding of what's going on are going to realize, who know their lines exactly, are going to realize that your centrals are undefended and they're going to rip you to shreds on centrals. That's what I think.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. All right. Next, but it's very popular and you'll probably see it, which is technically what we're here talking about. So
yeah, and like as a side note, perhaps that's meta related. Like it's good to see people experimenting with Gagarin and like just trying out the new assets in it. Gagarin's a good idea. I'm still waiting to see like the best formulation of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this might be it. Next. Oh, this is an interesting one, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Guist, our friend Guist. Trash Boys, posted by, hey, this guy.
Is he good at Netrunner?
Yeah, he's pretty good at Netrunner.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, he won a tournament in Minnesota.
Really?
Yeah, twice.
Oh, that's good for him.
Good for him. Good job, Minnesota. Good job, Dan Dargenio. Am I saying? Yeah. So this Geist thing is pretty popular because it's popped up in the wake of Business First, because Business First has a card called Tech Trader in it. And Tech Trader is a very, very cool card.
Yeah.
It's
For
one
a couple of reasons.
Yeah. It's very, very synergistic. That's the lightest way to put it.
There are 3 big things going for it, I think.
Okay.
One of them is, okay, so obviously in Geist you want to have a lot of trash abilities. This card is giving you credits for using those trash abilities. So whatever you've formulated already, all the supporting cards, if you can sub some of that for tech traders, that's good.
Yep.
You're going to make more money. Secondly, when you're using those trash abilities, well, you're probably using the breaking and entering suite, and you mentioned this, I think, in another video.
Yep, Spiky, Chibi,
Yep.
Barabari.
You're going to be making those credits in the middle of a run, and that's a really good time to be getting credits.
Oh, baby.
And thirdly, it's a connection.
Yes.
And
so
that matters.
Synergizes in this deck with off-campus apartment. This is very much a connection deck. It's a very interesting draw engine. You have your off-campus apartment, and you just slam your 4 guys on, your street peddlers, your tech traders, your contacts. You draw a lot of cards.
Yeah.
So you can burn through your deck very, very fast with this, and you can absolutely melt a Glacier deck with this.
Yeah. So it's one of those decks that runs less, I think.
It does run less, but it runs very high impact. Someone likened it to a Magnum. A Magnum revolver. You get 6 shots, but my god, do those shots do something.
Yeah. And you're always ready to go straight away.
Yeah, and you're ready to go. So it's got a devastating late game. You can go conceivably go through a HB server and end up with more money in cards than you started with, and that is not something to take lightly.
Not at all.
That said, there's a slight disclaimer with this deck. I mean, it's very cool. Like you'll see it. This is why we're talking about it. It's in the hotness. Dan Dargenio says it's not that good, even though he won a store champ with it. He says it's not actually that good.
What did he give any qualification for that?
It's not super good against assets spam any age.
Okay.
Or just any age, full stop.
Yeah, and if you need to be making repeat runs on centrals, just a little bit of taxing ice is probably going to go a long way.
Yeah.
Or just a little bit of any ice, actually.
And it's got a problem with high strength code gates on remotes.
Yeah, actually. Yeah,
But
so we played a matchup with this, and yeah, Wormhole is just insufferable.
Yeah, Wormhole was surprisingly terrible to deal with because you need 7 breakers installed to deal with. So it's a sweet deck, and you should give it a try. It's very fun.
Yeah.
When it works, it's amazing, but it's you're going to see it. You're going to see it. Next is a Kate deck.
Really?
Yeah, it's Kate, but not as we know it. It's Chameleon Kate. It's lizard slinging.
It throws lizards at you.
You throw lizards at them until you win. And it's got LLDS processor. Do you remember when this card came out?
And everyone was like, no, why does this exist?
Yeah, everyone was like, well, that's garbage. And now people are winning like crazy with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This list is published by Van Bloom, but the credit goes to Baram, aka Set Zero, aka Justin, who is a fairly prominent member of the Netrunner community.
Cool.
Yeah, it's sweet. So you just install Chameleons and Davids. It's got the same econ package as the Haley thingy.
Yep.
With pawn shops, cash, and other cards that are good. Yeah, it's really good. You just keep installing cards and making money. Chameleon gets boosted by the processor, so you can break in really cheap. And as he says, you just play it like Kate. And if you can play Kate, you'll do well at this.
Awesome.
Kate's got another game that we love.
What's that?
Kate's got a really strong early game because you can have that discount. So it's pretty sweet.
And I think that's notable because we've seen very similar lists to this in past out of Haley.
Yes.
But the fact that Chameleon LLDS processor is arguably stronger here is really interesting because the discount goes a long way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you actually. Yeah, so there's a Haley version of this list which is really similar, and it's just the Haley version has probably a slightly better late game, but the argument is that Kate's early game is good enough to make up for the slightly worse late game.
Yeah, and the slower setup.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I guess it turns out on the whole, right now, if you can play well against faster decks like the prevalence of Any Age, it's going to be all over the place. That's going to go a long way for you.
Yeah.
You're going to have more good matchups, or less bad matchups.
Yeah, and you can clot all over the place as well. Hyperdrive is a card that shows up a lot now. You could probably put in Tech Rider in these decks and you'd have a good time as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Taylor Swift, what are you doing here? It's a Stealth Andy list. Stealth Andy is making a bit of a comeback.
Yeah? Why is she doing that?
Well, because Stealth rips HB Ice to shreds. It just goes through it for free, which is pretty sweet. This is a version of it. There are plenty of versions of it.
Yeah.
I personally like the version with Data Sucker and Yogg instead of Refractor.
Okay, why do you like that?
Because Yogg is amazing, and because Data Sucker is really, really nice with Sign. So
yeah, I think the fact that you get synergy with your Switchblade and your Yogg is it's good.
It's powerful. So we've got, this is sort of the classic setup. If we ignore the Data Sucker for a second, the Cloaks, Refractor, Switchblade setup is, the classic one.
Yeah.
And it works. You get into servers really, really cheaply. You can, turn stealth credits into real money using your security testing and Desperado. And this is a good deck. You should expect to see it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I think one thing worth noting in this list, as with all the Frim decks, is that there is little redundancy in this one. Once Corroder and that Refractor go, they're just gone, which means you want to have a switchblade on the table before you're running with it. So I think this one, like despite the strong start Andy has, like it can set up a little bit slower.
And you may need to beware the Batty Keegan kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a real problem, potentially. Yeah, it's sweet. Oh, you can also do this out of Leela. People are doing that.
Yeah.
Leela gets Leela powers and can mess with any H a bit, but at the cost of Andy's setup. So it's really just your call, what you value more. Oh, this guy. Hey, this card's still around. This deck's still a thing. I would expect to see this, honestly. It's brutal. It's still brutal.
So tough to play against as almost every court.
Yeah,
Almost.
it just wins games. You siphon, you DLR, you do horrible, oppressive things to people, and it's really good for winning. I mean, it could be the best deck.
Yeah.
People just don't tend to play it.
Because, like, people value social relationships
exactly.
with friends over winning games sometimes.
Exactly. This is the kind of deck people don't practice very often because you can't bring this deck to a casual night.
Yeah.
Or anywhere. So, yeah, this deck's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's up there in terms of whiz and noise in power level, personally. But, and Apocalypse Max as well.
Yeah, variations.
Which we're not looking at so much today. But I think this is certainly up there with Whiz and Noise as the most powerful decks around, and even Pitchfork. You're just probably going to see it a bit less because of the social aspect of it, honestly. Just people don't play it because it's horrible and people hate you.
Key sort of like appeals with Netrunner is that you're never totally out of it, but like sometimes within min-max the board set is so oppressive that you just like have almost no recourse.
Yeah, you just deja vuing siphons and no money, and you just no money DLR, blah blah blah. So it's good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's solid. All right, so we have established this. Let's talk about some other things. Metacalls, stuff that you might see, or stuff that you might play if you're a sexy man or lady.
I feel like mixing things up a bit. You know.
Do you think of yourself as a sexy man or lady, Eric?
I have enough other people who do that for me.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, good call. What about you, Internet? Let us know in the comments. All right, hey, let's look at this. 7-point CI. What do you think about this deck, Eric? So
No.
Here's the thing. Okay, this deck's amazing.
It is.
It's really good. It's an incredibly powerful deck. I'll be real with you, I don't know how to play it because I have not put in the time to learn it. But it's really good. If you can play this deck and you know how to do the combos and you know how to combo past Clot, past Noise, past all the obstacles, you'll probably just win all your tournaments.
Yeah.
It's weak to Noise, but not as weak as it used to be because Noise has less powers than Noise used to.
And because you pack a couple of CVSs, so...
And because you have CVS and Clot and stuff. So the short answer is you can combo through various combinations of Clot and Noise. It's just hard. So if you're willing to put in the time to learn this deck, you'll probably win a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
But you won't. I wouldn't expect to see it a lot though, because frankly, there's just not many people that can handle it over the course of the day. I mean, look at the kind of people that are winning with it. It's like Dan Dargenio, Ben Bloom, Alex White. You know, the Vinny Rumik, the UK champion. It's these kind of top level guys that are winning with it.
It's just, depending on the kind of Netrunner you enjoy playing, it might not be for you.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe it's just depends, but it certainly exists, and you need to remember that it exists.
And I think the best way to learn how to play against this is to try playing it.
Yeah, and I tried playing it and then just failed miserably and don't want to again.
Unfortunately, you can't bring memory aids with you to tournaments.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could pull up the flow chart and just sort of
Yeah, we ran some games with this Jinteki, and I had to have the thing next to me on the screen on my other monitor, and it's wait, do I have the combo yet? God damn it! So if you get used to it, it's amazing. It's up to you. You might see it, you might not, but you should remember that it exists. We think PE, Argus, Wayland, damage decks can potentially be a good medical at the moment too. We're just talking about that quickly because it's kind of the same as when we talked about this before.
The same as it's always been. It's just respect checks.
Respect checks, exactly. People do still die to Scorched Earth, guys.
Yeah. I think I got 2 kills with it today.
You got 2 kills today? Well, there you go.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Okay. You scored out against me.
Yeah, I did. Feels worse, doesn't
like
it?
a chump. IG. This is a deck that is it has been showing up in a lot of variations. This particular deck has won 2 Store Champs here in Melbourne. It's pretty good. It aims to grind you to death and then kill you. It just wants to grind you to death and then you explode, basically. We kind of know how this works by now. It's a good meta call.
Yeah.
I personally hate it, but it exists and we all need to deal with it.
Yeah, so like always be, if you want to learn how to play better against this, always be imping. Maybe run archives sometimes. And I've seen some people, like I was having a chat to a guy today, actually, who was saying that like one of his mates had been playing Silhouette to success against this deck.
Yeah,
actually,
sure, Silhouette maybe.
as well as against like Butcher Shop Any Age.
Yep.
Butcher Shop NBN in general. So that's, if you can make Silhouette work, then you can like blank this matchup if it's done enough psychological damage.
Yeah.
Because that's actually a thing here.
Yeah, if you're that terrified of it, you can always run Expose.
Yeah.
For Expose effects. And also you can just run Archives.
Yeah.
Like,
you can just,
at some point during the game, you are going to have to run Archives, suck up some shocks,
yeah.
and get on with your life.
And that's another reason why Noise is really good right now, because you can just mill a bunch of stuff and get maximum value out of that Archives run.
Yeah, and as we say here at Sneakdoor, always be MP.
Always be.
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, what's this? Make Shop great again? Oh, look, it's the best deck of all time. Yeah, Butcher Shop's thing. Moving on. How good is this, though?
What do you mean?
America, you've got a real problem.
Yeah?
America has a problem? You don't consider Donald Trump a problem?
I do consider Donald Trump a
Let's move
problem.
on. And also things you might say, we've got DLR Leela is a question mark on our list, because you might see DLR Leela, because it's a deck that exists. And also, but for our feature deck this week...
I just got the title reference, actually.
Did you really just understand this?
Yes, I
Have you
did.
read this?
No, I haven't read the
Oh, you haven't read this? Oh,
Yeah.
you should read it sometime.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's just a Donald Trump speech.
Yeah,
That
fantastic.
everything's replaced with Butcher Shop. We'll read it later. Maybe we should do a video later where we just read this dramatically. Anyway, feature deck this week is this weird thing.
Yeah. So Jess is like a fascinating ID because there are no cards that have strong conspicuous synergy with her other than Maya and Vamp. And sometimes Vamp isn't like, it doesn't feel great because Magnum Opus can be slow. It can feel slow. So finding the right brew for Jess is a tricky thing. And another person's won a tournament with this particular list.
Now, I will say this deck looks bad.
However,
When I look at it, it looks bad.
Yeah.
But the point is that Account Siphon and Vamp Jazz are things that exist, and you might want to bring them if you want to play Shaper and stop other people having a good time. Because a lot of people like those things, and if you can put them together, you get to have the best time.
do you mind if I say something on this, actually?
Yes,
Okay, you mind.
that's fine.
Okay, cool. So, like, a lot of stealth shapers we're seeing, particularly Stealth Kate, they're trying to dig deep on R&D as much as possible. At least I've noticed that in our local meta.
Yep.
Jess does that better because her console is great. Like, the raw stats hit, 3 to install, 2 memory. That's really good. But the fact that you can sort of have an imp-like effect on the dig is really nice. And it means that when you do that next run, you dig a little deeper. So the thing I like that this deck is doing is the fact that it's running your Stealth Sentry Breaker and your Stealth Codegate Breaker, Refractor and Dagger, and that means that if you've got this setup, like you can make repeat runs and like really just get that lock on in a really nice way. The problem is because you're not Haley and you're not Kate, you don't get set up as fast.
Yeah, so there's some sadness there.
And that hurts.
Yeah. But, you know, it exists. And you might want to try it if you want to siphon people to death and you don't want to play DLR because you're not a scumbag. Or maybe you are a scumbag, I'm not going to judge you.
Only God can judge you. Only Jackson can judge you.
Only Jackson can judge you, exactly. That about covers it for this week's Meta Snapshot, I think. Or month, or whatever time period it is since we did the last one.
Yep.
We're probably going to do another one really soon for Democracy and Dogma.
Once that drops, maybe give it a
it's
couple
going
weeks.
to be mostly apocalyptic in nature. Because we'll be talking about how no Corp decks work anymore and the sky is falling and Guist is the best deck. I don't think Guist is going to be the best deck. But it's going to be an exciting time. We're all going to get through it together. I promise you, Netrunner community. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Eric, do you have anything you want to say to the people?
Stop trying to jam Panchatantra into Jess decks.
Thanks.
Just don't do it.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.